Here.
Commissioner Leone,
Here.
Commissioner Romick,
Here.
Commissioner Guidry,
Here.
Commissioner Frazier,
Here.
5 present and a quorum.
Thank you. Since we have no old business, we'll move on to the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the open meeting minutes from October 9th meeting, as well as the rules and regulations portion of the meeting also on October 9th.
We have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted. We want a consideration of change orders?
Shandrika Banks on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. Today, we have a total of 59 change orders. Staff has reviewed those change orders and requests to approve 56 and place 3 in pending status. Staff requests approval of these change orders.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the 56 change orders and place 3 in pending status for reasons given by staff.
And we have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Please note that we have no prior pending change orders for this hearing.
Thank you. We'll move on to the consideration of minute approval for the 2024 tax rolls. I'm sorry, for Caldwell Parish.
Good morning, Tanisha Malvo on behalf of the Louisiana Tax Commission. We do have an amended tax roll for Caldwell Parish. The reason being is because the Louisiana Legislative Auditor saw that one of their millages was incorrect for the Consolidated School District Number 1. And the millage rate was 7.27, which it should have been 7.41. This millage change does not affect the total values that was presented prior, when we previously approved the roll. Therefore, staff requests that we approve the amended 2024 tax roll for Caldwell Parish, and also note that we did not require another quietus or affidavit because that was already previously filed in the initial approval of the roll.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the amended 2024 tax roll for Caldwell Parish.
We have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted. We'll move on to the consideration and approval of the 2024 tax rolls.
Amend to add St. James, please.
We're going to amend this motion to add St. James Parish, and we're going to remove Terrebonne Parish because they need some additional time.
That is correct.
Any questions from the commission? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the 2024 tax rolls for the following parishes: Ascension, Rapides, Assumption, St. Bernard, Cameron, St. Martin, Grant, Natchitoches, St. James.
And we have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Thank you.
Move on to the appeals, if we could swear in the witnesses. Thank you, T.
Good morning. If you're going to be testifying in the appeals today, I'm going to have to ask you to stand up and raise your right hand. I'm going to administer an oath to everybody present. I'm going to do first everyone in the room individually, and then I'll move on to the appraisers on the Zoom. After I administer the oath, I'm going to point to each of you individually, which I want you to respond with your name, and then I do. Understand? Okay. I solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony I'm about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
David Mejia, I do.
Russell Almaraz, I do.
Michael Beckford, I do. Yeah, both.
All right, very good. Appraisers, if I can ask you all to unmute and turn your cameras on for me so I can see you. I'll administer the oath and then ask you individually to confirm. All right, everyone raise your right hand for me. Everyone's camera on, very good. You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Danny?
I do.
Nicole?
I do.
Reed?
Reed Huval, I do.
Paul? Paul?
Paul.
I think
He's frozen. How about Mark?
Mark Gillespie, I do.
All right, Cody?
Cody Lowry, I do.
All right, Luke?
Luke Brewer, I do.
All right, and if we get to Paul and he's unfrozen, we can administer it then. All right, Cindy, go on.
Good morning. Can anyone use this time to silence their cell phones, please? The first appeal we'll take up today is the appeal of Michael A. Betancourt versus Assessor L.G. Williams in the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-71025.
Alternate, I do.
Good morning. You can go ahead and get started.
Good morning, everyone. I'm appealing the tax assessment on my property at 4709 South Carrollton Avenue. And the reason being is 8 years ago, I also appealed the assessment. At that time, someone from the assessor's office came to my property, went through the interior and the exterior, and made an assessment. At that time, they lowered the assessment. On this particular time, and it wasn't a really significant increase. It was I didn't think it was fair, but it wasn't like it was this last time. In 2020, at that 4-year assessment, I don't recall there being an assessment. Maybe it was COVID related. I can't remember. But in 2020, for the 2024 assessment, they increased my property value by 108%. And it went from, I think it was around 265, 270 in that range, up to like 560,000 or something like that. And it wasn't, I didn't believe it was fair, and it wasn't affordable. So I had to appeal. There are several factors. One is I explained to the assessors in my appeal that no one came out to my house to assess the property. There was Ida damage. I bought my house in 2007, and over the last 16, 17 years, I've been making repairs from Hurricane Katrina damage. Okay, that was one of the reasons why it was lowered. One of the reasons why it was lowered 8 years ago was because a lot of the Katrina damage was still gutted spaces on the first level. Hurricane Ida, appraisers assessed the damage to my property at anywhere between $180,000 and $225,000 in damages. My insurance company paid me a portion of that, around $90,000. That was enough for me to repair the exterior damages, but not enough to complete all the damage repairs. I explained that in my appeal to the assessor's office, as well as the Board of Review. I'm grateful that the Board of Review in the city of New Orleans did lower it somewhat. They lowered the assessment about $70,000. But still, that's about an 85% increase. And I believe that although the current assessments by the 3 appraisers that appraised the property value, they didn't physically see the property. They went off of market values on sales of homes in the area. And if I were selling my house today and I could afford to make the improvements, of course, I would have renovated bathrooms, freshly painted rooms, renovated kitchen, and I would be trying to attract the highest price I could on my property. But I'm not selling my property, at least not yet. I may be forced to do so, but I'm not planning on selling it right now. And it's not in that pristine condition that some of these comparables are in. So I'm asking the commission to consider those things in assessing the value of the property.
Okay, thank you. We'll hear from the city of New Orleans. Russ?
Good morning, Commissioners. This property is a multifamily property located in the South Carrollton neighborhood.
We initially valued the property using the CAMA Assisted Mass Appraisal at $553,900. It was appealed to the Board of Review. The taxpayer brought up condition issues of the property at the Board of Review. The Board of Review reduced the value to $476,400. We performed the fee simple appraisal for this hearing. That fee simple appraisal actually came out close to our original valuation, although slightly higher at $583,500. It's still in the ballpark of the tax commission's appraisal of 500,000. And while we don't disagree that the commission's appraisal and our fee simple appraisal is out of the ballpark area, we're not asking the commission to raise the taxpayer from what the board review affirmed. And that was based on the condition issues that he provided to the board review.
Okay, thank you, Russell. We'll hear from the LTC appraiser, Reed.
Good morning, Reed Huval with the Tax Commission. I did an appraisal of 4709 Carrollton Avenue. The person inspected it and went out to the property and did an exterior inspection. Came up with a total value of 500,000. The land value was 170,900, and the improvement value was $329,100.
Thank you, Reed. Questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair, I have a question for the taxpayer, just in looking at your exhibits. So an appraiser came out and said your damages at that time, this was January of 23, were approximately 180,000, of which then your insurance company only awarded 108.
Well, they cut me a check for, yeah, correct, because they cut me a check for 90,000 and it was I had a $10,000 deductible, so yeah, right around that.
And the insurance company goes on to cite that the reason that they deducted about 82,000 was just for normal wear and tear. So do you have any statement about that?
Just that there wasn't anybody from the insurance company that came out and assessed the interior of my house on the initial inspection. And then when I invoked the appraisal process, forcing the insurance company to send a second appraiser out to go through the interior and the exterior, the first guys wouldn't even get on my roof. They refused to come in my house. And I asked the insurance company to send people out, and they said, well, that would cost us $1,000. We can't do that. So I invoked the appraisal process, hired my own appraiser. And it wasn't normal wear and tear. There were damages to the property as a result of the high winds and rain that were not, there was no wear and tear there before Hurricane Ida. After the hurricane, there was noticeable differences in not just appearance, but physical differences, cracks, doors that used to open and shut that were now sticking, damage to glass, damage to shutters, stains from water damage where water leaked from the roof down to the ceiling. There were stains in the ceiling, as well as tape coming apart. And because it got wet, and then the tape seams were coming down. Even an exterior wall on one side where most of the wind and rain was hitting the south side, and there were a lot of damaged weatherboards. There were stains and damage because the insulation and all got wet and the sheetrock got wet.
So how did you come up with your value of improvements of 160,000? You're really not differentiating much, if anything, on the land value. So for what I'm witnessing, you think your improvement should be valued at 160,000. Is that correct? A total value of 330,000 is what you're asking for?
I was asking for 330,000. The basis for that was, there's several factors. I mean, one of the factors that there's an adjustment for, I believe, is the market values aren't what they're being described as. I mean, market values are dropping right now. There's over 300 homes just in 70119 that are for sale and have been for sale for quite some time. I live on a very busy street, 3 lanes of traffic going in both directions. Truck route, bus route. The values of some of the houses that they're using to value my property against comparables are in neighborhoods. They don't have trucks and buses going by. They don't have, 10,000 cars a day going by. Where you have to wait for traffic to stop so that just so you can go out and get in your car. There's a lot of things that you would consider, in addition to just how many square feet, price per square foot based on, comparables that are in the neighborhood.
I just have one. If Mr. Graves, are you done?
Go ahead, sir.
Good. I just have one question. In looking at some of what you were talking about, you saying that there were some damages to the ceiling, peeling, the doors wouldn't close, shutters and stuff like that. Were there any significant damage to the structure itself?
Well, there's a chain wall that goes around the exterior of my house, and it's a 3-foot chain wall that they built. I'm guessing it's because initially the house that I live in was probably a single story sitting on pillars. And when they raised it to put a lower level basement in, they put a chain wall all the way around, 3-foot cinder block chain wall, and then they built the walls on top of that for the first floor and set the upper floor on top of it, the house on top of that. That chain wall had lots of cracks and things of that sort. There was a staircase that shifted, an exterior staircase at the back of the house. So yeah, there were some noticeable differences, as well as the cracks in the corners of the wall, the corners of the rooms, that would, I stayed for the hurricane. The house was moving around a little bit. I have chandeliers. You could see the chandeliers move. So, and at one point we were in a bedroom on the south side of the house, and we moved to the other side of the house because we were fearful that something might come through the shutters and the windows. So yeah, in my opinion, it was structural damage. They did hire an engineer to come out and look at it. He said that it was due to settling. The house is 125 years old. I don't know how much it's settled just, between before a hurricane and after a hurricane. But you're welcome.
Yes, for the Orleans Parish, for Mr. Alvarez. So in looking what the taxpayer presented and what the appraiser for insurance first appraised that, then what insurance eventually settled that, it's close to the 76,000 difference from your original assessment to Board of Review. I know from past experience, you don't have insight into the Board of Review, but in your asking for the 476,400, did you take into account that that's valid because of the difference between what insurance awarded from what was originally assessed at?
To be honest, when we were at the Board of Review as an observer, we observed the information at the Board of Review. I don't have any exhibits provided to our office from the taxpayer, so I wasn't able to peruse it. And that was part of the letter that we sent to the commission. But that would make sense. The depreciation for the maintenance of the 80,000 being taken off. Like I said, even if you were to take the 80,000 from our 583,000, that would be 500,000 taken from the 553,000. That's the 476. It all lines up in that same ballpark.
Thank you. No further questions, Mr. Chair.
Any questions from the commission? Hear none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Orleans Parish assessment of $476,400. That's $170,900 for the land and $305,500 for the improvement.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Thank y'all.
Next, we have the appeal of 1223 Royal LLC versus Assessor L.G. Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-72137.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm Peter Tyler, representing the taxpayer, and my client is here, Mr. Gregory Holt, who's the manager of taxpayer 1223 Wall Street LLC.
Mr. Chair, just to make a point of clarification,
Oh, I did. Yeah, he did.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, members of the commission. By way of background, the property is in the French Quarter in New Orleans at 1223 Wall Street. 2022, it was given a value of $1,437,800, according to the tax assessor in New Orleans Parish. In 2023, it went up to $1,488,400, and then in 2024, it went up $1.2 million to $2,662,500. With that dramatic increase, the taxpayer, through Mr. Gregory Holt, who's here today, took an appeal to the Board of Review and submitted an appeal and noted that one of the according to the tax assessor, there were issues with the square footage of the property. It was listed as 7,740 square feet in the record of the tax assessor in the 2024 assessment. So we took appeal from that. And eventually we went to the Board of Review, submitted evidence, and we asked for an appraisal, fair market value of $1,800,000 in our appeal, and presented evidence of that both in our appeal and before the Board of Review, showing the comparables, showing the condition of the property, photographs, and what we felt was the fair market value of the property based between the land and improvements, admitting that it was somewhat higher than the $1,488,000 that was in the prior year, and we submitted an appraisal, an estimate of $1,800,000 between the land and improvements, not really changing the land, but reducing the improvements. The tax assessor did reduce the assessment somewhat, but not to the level that we had asked. It went down, according to the appeal, from the value was $2 million. It was the assessor's market total was, I said, was $2,662,500. Then the assessor, following the hearing, reduced it to $2,200,100, which is a reduction of $462,400 in market value, or $46,240 in assessed value. We then took this further appeal to the tax commission and the tax commission appraiser came out to the property, did a fair market value appraisal, did an interior inspection of the property, and which is before you now, and found that the value was indeed $1,800,000 based upon his measurements of the improvements, which he found to be, when he went there, to be a total of 4,560 square feet, substantially less than what the assessor had put down, over 7,000 square feet on the original assessment back in when the uncertified assessment for 2024, and that's a matter of public record. So therefore, the assessor felt that the appraiser, whose report is in the record, that did a calculation of the square footage of the property, and also comparables of the property with comparable sales who did actual visual interior inspection of the property and did actual comparable sales for this property based upon the square footage that was correct, which, as I said before, was overestimated by the assessor and had been, I think, for years. Did an appraisal of $1,800,000, showing that the square footage, as I said before, was 4,560 square feet, which basically was in line with what we felt when we went to the appeal, which we felt was the actual square footage of the property. So for those reasons, we believe that our appeal is well supported based upon an actual appraisal of the property by an independent appraiser engaged by the tax commission that is in line with our subjective belief of the property, now objectively confirmed, that we believe that the property should have a fair market value of landed improvements of $1,800,000. And if I may, I'd like to have Mr. Holt, who's the taxpayer's representative, also here, I'm sure he's here, would answer any questions and would like to submit further testimony.
If he wants to say something, he can, but we don't have questions till we hear from all sides.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. That being said, we'll hear from New Orleans Assessor's Office.
Yes, this is a single-family dwelling located in the French Quarter. We initially valued the property at $2,662,500. That was based on a erroneous square footage, as the taxpayer stated. However, there's a couple of things that the taxpayer representative does not state, and that in the appeal documents provided to the commission as well as to the Board of Review in our office, there's a LAT form for every property. They required by law to fill those out. And the taxpayer put in 6,159 square feet in their own LAT file. That's not our square footage. That's the taxpayer's square footage that they put in themselves. We went out and measured via pictometry and used an appraisal sketch and adjusted our square footage to 5,739 square feet, which is actually lower than what the taxpayer self-reported. Not saying that the 6,159 square feet is gospel, because it's the taxpayer self-reporting and they're not an appraiser, and I'm not expecting them to be 100% accurate. But we went ahead and verified our square footage at the 5,739 square feet. We did do a fee simple appraisal. We did do comparable sales. I know the taxpayer's attorney said that we did not, but we did. That's what an appraisal is. That revised appraisal based on the corrected square footage comes in at $1,990,000 with there's a typo on the spreadsheet, so I'm going to just do the breakdown real quick. $1,999,000 total fair market value, with $477,200 for the land and $1,512,800 for the building. Taking a look at the information that was provided, there was an appraisal comparison provided to our office, as well as a tax mission of a number of properties on Esplanade, Decatur, and Royal. None of those comparables are actually comparables. They don't apply. The subject property is a square footage property. And for instance, 1331 Decatur is a commercial property. 547 Esplanade is a bread and breakfast. 611 is a timeshare. 613 Esplanade is a hotel. So they're pulling a bunch of comparables that are not actually comparable, because they're not comparing apples to apples. They're comparing a single family home to multifamily properties, to apartment complexes, to timeshares, to commercial properties. So none of those properties are actually comparable. Taking a look at the information, back in 2019, there was an adjustment or a claim made for flooding. There was a $350,000 claim for flooding in 19, where they received $100,000 for mitigation. The reason why I bring that up is in 2019, the insurance company did an appraisal on the property for insurance adjustment purposes, and came out to $1,365,050 for the building, plus the land rate of $477,200 comes in at $1,842,250, which is way back in 19. which would appreciate to 2023, which supports our value of the $1,990,000. We think that there's some adjustments that were made in the tax commission's appraisal that we thought might have been a little high. It's or a little bit more of a reduction than should have been there. I know I brought this up to the tax commission appraiser head, Jeff Crosby, that there was an issue with the appraisal. The photo was from 1233, not 1223. It was two different properties. Looking at the photos provided by the taxpayer, it shows a garage door in the front and brick walls, which leads me to believe that there's car storage there, that it's not just a drive-through carport. The MLS listing in 2012 from the purchase by the taxpayer also says that there's 3+ car storage in the property, which leads me then to believe that there is car storage, not just a drive-through carport. The tax submissions appraiser says that our square footage is capturing capturing square footage prior to the sale of the subject property. But prior to the sale of the subject property, it was 5,550. And then they took a permit out in 2014, 2 years after they acquired it, to reclaim 128 square feet. So 5,550 plus 128 square feet is a lot closer to our revised square footage of 5,739 square feet than 4,550 square feet. So for those reasons, we think that our revised appraisal is an accurate indicator of value at the $1,990,000. I'm sorry, $1,990,000.
$1,990,000?
Yes.
And the appeal
Hold
result
up,
was
sir,
two.
sir, hold up, please.
I'm sorry, okay.
That's all you got, Russell?
Yes, sir.
Good. If you want to ask,
I'm sorry, so you have lowered your valuation from the $2,400,000 roughly to $1,990,000?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Holt would like to address the commission.
hold up. We're going to hear from our appraiser first.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's hear from the LTC appraiser.
You're on
Danny,
mute.
you're on.
Good morning, Commissioners. Danny Blanchard, appraiser for Louisiana Tax Commission. We performed a fee simple appraisal of the property's fair market value. Actually did an interior and exterior inspection of both the main improvements as well as the accessory dwelling unit in the rear of the property. Did a market data analysis. That's our fancy word for we find out what's sold in the area. Found 3 comparable sales in the French Quarter that bracketed the subject property in terms of physical condition and building size. And they were also similar to the subject in numerous other elements of comparison. The sale prices of the 3 comparables range from $1,490,000 to $2 million. After we made some adjustments for measurable differences, we concluded a value of $1,800,000, which is a breakdown of $477,200 attributed to the land and $1,322,800 attributed to the improvements. Just to counter the assessor's position, I happened to do a cursory scan of their appraisal. They're passionate about the car storage. They certainly didn't make an adjustment on their appraisal, but point in fact, it is a one car width carriageway that with the garage door on the front of the property. That's the parking amenities for that property, which leads to a courtyard area. I guess you could park on a courtyard / patio if you choose to stack cars. But a more important point is when you're dealing with French Quarter properties is not breaking down the main improvements and the accessory dwelling units. The accessory dwelling units were never, ever intended when they were built hundreds of years ago. They were never, ever intended to be built, to be occupied by the property owner. They were constructed to house domestic help. So as a result of that, they're rarely the same quality and condition of the home. So when you're lumping the square footage of the main home and the rear accessory units together, you're getting a it's artificially high because you're capturing the total square footage of the property instead of breaking it down and accounting for the almost always difference in quality and condition of those accessory dwelling units. So just wanted to point that out. But again, we're at $1,800,000, and we did a breakdown of the main structure and the accessory dwelling units.
Okay, thank you, Danny. You want to hear from
Yes,
the
sir.
taxpayer?
Just want to make one, I have not seen the assessor's fair market appraisal. I was just learned that today. Did you send it to us?
Yes, we did.
You did?
Mhm.
Me?
Yes. We sent it to whoever was on file with the board of review filing the appeal. It was sent to that email address as well as the commission 30 days prior to the hearing.
I didn't receive it, but if you did send it to me, I might disagree. You have a copy of it?
I do.
No, I mean, do you all have a copy of I have not seen it, so I don't have it, but if you submitted it, I'll find the email, but you said you emailed it to me?
If you filed the appeal to the board of review,
Right.
your email is on file.
Right.
That email received the appraisal.
Okay, maybe it was spam. Okay. But it was for $1,990,000, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just say I personally don't have it, but I'll look and see if it's in my office. Yeah, and the only other point I want to make, he'll talk about the flood and some other issues, is that on the square footage, we did submit when we had the board review some drawings, because when we did the original appeal, we didn't know for sure we knew it was less than what the assessor had put in, but when we actually did an analysis of and went out and measured everything, we found it to be a little bit less than that. And then the appraiser actually confirmed those figures when we did the square footage on the appraisal. So it is what it is. That's what the square footage is, and we believe that we can stand by that. So I will have Mr. Holt, who's already sworn in. I'm sure he would like to add some further things to the discussion. And thank you very much.
Thank you. I apologize, my voice is bad. I'm just getting over bronchitis. Both appraisers have done a pretty good job. And first of all, to address the issue of the square footage, we live abroad a good part of the year. When this appeal came up, we were overseas and we sort of guessed at the 6,000 feet, whatever it was, and asked Peter to represent us. Since then, we got accurate drawings, and they've all been submitted both to the state and to the city. The appraisers have had those, so I don't think there's any argument that what they've all got is now correct. The flooding issue remains a big problem. There are 4 flood drains on the block, and this block is arguably the highest point of the city. Never flooded in its entire history. But this house is 1 step above street level, and every time there's a heavy rain, it's a river running down this block. It's one of the most heavily trafficked blocks in the French Quarter now, and not what it was 5 or 6 years ago. I'm sorry, my voice is just about gone. So the street drains are historic. They're constantly breaking. They never fix them properly. We've got another pothole. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger every day right outside our house. That's about ready to go, and we'll flood again. we now have to disclose this anytime we want to sell this property. It's a major, major liability. We frankly don't know what to do. Every time there's a major rainstorm, we have to go get all kinds of sandbags and barriers and block all of the doors around the house, front and back, to prevent what happened, because the water comes in from the street, doesn't come in from the property. It comes in off the street and it goes straight into the house. It backs right in because the drains are broken. They'll fix one and they'll fix the sewer and water board does not communicate with the city road crews. So whenever one does its job, it waits for the other to do theirs. So there's no coordination of any of this. I used to own a very big operation down in Plaquemines Parish. I've laid miles of pipe. I know exactly what to do, and I can't get any common sense out of the city administration to get this problem fixed. We've had our engineers look at it, this, that, and the other. It's a waste of time. It is what it is. We're stuck with a property now that should be pristine. It's not, and it never will be the way things are going. It's going to get worse. Also, the quality of life on the block has deteriorated to the point where it's almost unlivable. We've had 3 attempted break-ins. We've had 1 attempted carjacking. We've had the police in the house 3 times in the last year. And the security is just awful. We will not answer the door at nighttime anymore. It's that bad. I would like not to take or waste the time of this body anymore. You've come up with $1,000,099. The state's come up with $1,000,008. Why don't we just compromise?
Sorry, sir.
I'm
that's-
sorry, why don't we
that's
just
not your place
compromise
to
in the middle?
negotiate with the assessor at the table here.
And be,
Y'all can either accept the offer, the assessor offered you $1,909,000. If y'all want to accept that, then we don't move forward. If not, we're going to make a decision on what the value is.
okay, I'm just making it as a common sense approach, all right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take to that with due respect.
Yep.
So that's all I have to say.
Okay, questions from the commission? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Chair, I have a motion to accept the compromise offer of $1,999,000, which is $477,200 for the land, $1,512,800 for the improvements. Total of $1,990,000.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Next, we have the appeal of Cynthia L. Mizgala versus Assessor L.G. Williams in the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23-221-76149.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Mizgala, and I'm the homeowner at 22 Newcomb, and I've owned the home since 1996. It's an old historic home, and it's needs a lot of repairs, and I'm doing the best I can to keep it up. So the issue why I'm here is last year when I appealed my assessment, because it went up way more than my neighbors, we're all on a similar street with similar homes, and some are renovated, some are not. Mine is not. I think I got caught up with the renovated homes in terms of the value. And so I appealed it. And when we went with Mr. Gibert, who's my advisor, to the Board of Review, they offered me a settlement for 1.3, but then they didn't do that. So they said, we can stop right here. We can offer you a settlement. It was verbal. I trusted them, and then that didn't happen. I'm pretty new at this. So they just imposed the same thing. I went to appeal. I'm not sure why. I never got an explanation. So they said to go to the next level, and that's why I'm here. My home has several problems. When the appraiser for the tax commission came to my home, he actually discovered a huge flood in my basement. None of that is in the appraisal. It was just not mentioned. I had to have all that work done. It cost thousands of dollars. I still need more work to fix the cause of that problem. And I also feel like, again, I'm being appraised and compared to properties in my home that are also older homes, but have been completely remodeled and upkept, which I haven't had the opportunity to do as of right now. And so there's some functional problems I have to fix, and my generator is barely working. That has to be replaced. Everything costs so much money. So I have a list of things that would need to be done to get it up to par with the neighbors' homes. And also I felt it was unfair that mine went up 50% compared to my neighbors, which were not even close to that. So those are my concerns, and Mr. Gilbert has more of the facts because he's my expert.
Good morning. My name's Leon Gbear. I'm a Louisiana State Certified Real Estate Appraiser. Was hired by Ms. Gala to appraise the property and to appear before the board review and the tax commission. I had submitted an appraisal to the board of review. I had submitted an appraisal to the board of review, which I also submitted to the Louisiana Tax Commission when I filed my appeal back in October of 22. Anyway, the appraised value in my report was $1,250,000. Now, just the history of the property, in 2022, this property was assessed for $963,600. In 2023, it went up to $1 million. In 2024, it went to $1,510,000. So a $510,100 increase. Now, what's the cause of that? Was there any renovation done on the building? No. Was any permits issued? No. There's a lot of work that does need to be done. The compressor, I took a picture of it. It's a 2002 compressor, so that's 20-year-old air conditioning. It's also got the HCFC refrigerant, which the EPA has outlawed. So when that system goes, you're going to have to replace the compressor and the internal unit. So it's going to be a very expensive repair. And all that's documented in my report. The generator was put in after Katrina. So that's going to be almost 20 years old. It's probably 80% depreciated. As far as assessments, so it wasn't physical change in the property that caused a 50% increase. It wasn't painted, the roof still leaks, the basement still leaks. A lot of old, got a nice chamber stove. It was old when she bought the house 27 years ago. It's, it still works, but it's very old. So it wasn't a physical condition that caused the value to go up. So that means maybe economic condition. Well, let's see, what did the economic condition do to other properties in the neighborhood? 28 Newcomb is a fully renovated house. It went from $1,137,500 to $1,275,000, 12% increase. 18 Newcomb went from $1,175,000 to $1,203,300, 2.4% increase. Number 16 Newcomb Boulevard went from $1,400,000 to $1,700,000, 17% increase. 14 Newcomb went up 1.5% from $980,000 to $994,000. 12 Newcomb, $1,367,000 to $1,488,700, 9% increase. Nobody went up that high that wasn't fully renovated. Number 9 Newcomb went up 24%. Number 11 went up 8%. Number 15 went up 20% from $1,500,000 to $1,866,000. Number 17 went up 25%. We're asking for a 25% increase. We're willing to go from $1 million to $1,250,000, and I think that's a fair assessment on that property considering the age and condition of the improvements. Now, the commission had an appraisal done. The only thing I would point out is that he's said that our building is in very good condition. I don't think you can have a 40-year-old stove and be called very good condition. I would call that, if it's good and it works, that's good condition. If it's good and works and old, that's average good. I think everything on that property is average good. 80% depreciated generator cannot be called very good condition. I don't know why he would characterize a property like that. It's got foundation cracks in the wall, which was documented in the appraisal. That can't be called very good condition. Average to average good at best, so.
Thank you. We'll hear from City of New Orleans Assessor's Office.
Yes. So this property is on Newcomb Boulevard. It's, was originally valued at $1,510,100, which was affirmed by the Board of Review. The commission is actually higher at $1,540,000. We've provided a fee simple appraisal. That fee simple appraisal came in at $1,635,000. Everything was within 5% of each other. The tax commission's appraisal affirms the Board of Review's value, which affirmed our initial valuation. There's some, I know Mr. Jabez said that he had some documentation, but none of that was provided to our office, so we can't counter anything. So I don't know what was done. Everything is pretty much hearsay. I will say that we took a look at the interior provided by the tax commission staff appraisal, and yes, it looks to be in very good condition. That's why both our appraisal and the tax commission's appraisals are very good. We think that the Board of Review valuation is fair, even though both appraisals are higher than the initial valuation. We're just asking for the Board of Review's valuation. We don't want to punish the taxpayer.
Thank you, Russell. We'll hear from the LTC appraiser.
Good morning. Luke Brewer with Louisiana Tax Commission. I did a fee simple appraisal on 22 Newcomb Boulevard. I did an interior and exterior inspection. The land value was not contested, therefore a land sales analysis was not developed in this appraisal. I utilized the comparable sales approach, selected 3 comparable sales, all located on Newcomb Boulevard, all within 0.1 miles. After adjustments, the value range indicated is $1,468,200 to $1,794,000. Based on the interior inspection, all livable area appeared to be in very good condition, and I think the photos support that. The generator, I was not aware that it was 80% through its economic life. However, both the generator and the basement storage are treated separately as amenities, and therefore were not considered in my condition rating, as I'm adjusting for those separately. There was noted water damage in the basement. I have interior photos, and I thought I put them in there, and I hate that I didn't. But it appears that the water damage is coming from a mini split or a window unit, and there was a refrigerator there. But it's hard to tell for sure. There was a little bit of standing water, but not a lot, based on my inspection and the photos. After the comparable sales analysis, I gave cell 1 70% of weight, as it's within 20 square feet size of the subject. It was in superior condition, had a little bit smaller of a site size, but that's where most of the value is, because the other 2 comps, one is much, much smaller and one is much, much larger. And therefore, those 2 comps didn't receive near amount the same, or the near amount of weight as 38 Newcomb Boulevard comparable cell number 1. After taking all this into consideration, my opinion of value is $1,540,000, $575,100 of which is an undisputed land value, and the improvements at $964,900.
Thank you, Luke. Questions from the
Thank you.
commission?
Mr. Chair, I have a question for for Mr. Alvarez. So just to confirm, the original assessment in total was 1.51 million.
Yes, sir.
I understand the LTC's appraised value of 1.54. You're asking for what your appraisal came in at 1.635?
No, sir, that's
Just the original assessment.
That's a typo on the information. I just put the appraisal amount in. We're actually asking for the original valuation of $1,510,000.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I move to accept the original assessment by the Orleans Parish Assessor's Office of $1,510,100. That's land at $575,100, improvements at $935,000. It's within the range and supported by the LTC appraised value.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Next, we'll take up the appeal of Swayze Properties LLC versus Assessor L.G. Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-71011. and no more taxpayers.
Okay, we'll hear from the city of New Orleans.
All right. One second. All right. So the property is a multifamily property located in the Jefferson Davis / Banks neighborhood. We initially valued the property at $510,400. It was affirmed by the Board of Review. We did a fee simple appraisal that comes into at $507,000. The tax commission staff appraisal is at $385,000. I did some review of the area. It's currently rented in its present condition. The insurance value is about $250,000 for the building, plus the land puts it at a little over $400,000 at $403,000. I did a CMA on fourplexes in the area, and that median value would put it at $410,000. So we actually would like to amend our ask. I know we have the $507,000 valuation, but due to the condition of the property, we're asking for $410,000 for the building, $153,200 for the land for a total, I'm sorry, $410,000 for the total, $153,000 for the land. Building would be $256,800. And that's based on condition.
Okay, thank you, Russell. We'll hear from LTC appraiser, Tad.
Yes, sir. I made an exterior inspection on this property. Found it to be in fair condition. The land value was $153,200 and my total value was $385,000.
Thank you. Questions from the commission? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I have a motion to accept the new value that the city of New Orleans has for $410,000, $153,200 for land, $256,800 for improvements, total of $410,000.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Next, we have the appeal of Swayze Properties LLC versus Assessor L.G. Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-76029.
City of New Orleans Assessor's Office?
Yes, this is a multifamily property located in the South Carrollton neighborhood. We originally valued the property at $407,700. The Board of Review came in at a value of $375,000, which is a slight reduction. That's supported by the tax commission appraisal and as well as our fee simple appraisal. So we're just asking the commission to affirm the Board of Review's value.
Okay, we'll hear from the LTC appraiser.
Also made an exterior inspection on this property. I found that the property was in average condition. The land value was $121,800. The improvements, $446 with a total of $568,000.
Oh, sorry.
I think you're on the wrong one.
I think I'm on the wrong one. I thought we were going down the line. At Dwyer. Which one are we? Which? 823 Marengo. Okay. Well, that changes things. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. Well, you give me a mulligan? All right. So we're at $582,600. That was affirmed by the Board of Review. This is in a really tight range with the tax commission's appraisal at 568. I mean, we're talking about a difference of $14,000. So we're asking the commission to affirm the Board of Review's valuation. It's less than 5%.
Okay. Questions from the commission? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept the Orleans Parish value of $582,600 total. That's a land value of $182,600 with an improvement value of $400,000.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Thanks. Next, we have the appeal of Daniel W. Dyer versus Assessor L.G. Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-71012.
Okay.
Russell.
This is the one from last time. So we're just asking the commission to affirm the Board of Review's value. The is a slight reduction from the original valuation, but everybody's in the same ballpark.
Any questions on this one? Any, if none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, call for a motion to accept the assessor, board review's value of $375,000, which is $59,400 for land, $315,600 for improvement, total of $375,000.
Yeah, and that value equates exactly what the LTC appraiser came up with. So we have a motion. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Next, we have appeal of the ALAA Trust, A Law Trust versus Assessor LG Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-73127.
City of New Orleans Assessor's Office.
Yes. This is the 4680 Charlemark Drive. This is a property.
No.
No? I don't have a 1201. 12001.
I believe this is one y'all didn't turn in any documents in. This is one of the one we didn't get nothing from y'all.
I don't think I got that.
That's the, I think there's supposed to be a typo on that. That was the one that was 259. That was supposed to be.
Oh, yeah, that was settled. 2442 New Orleans Boulevard, and then no, or 35908 Michoud. That's not all. That's not all. Yeah, because if we don't have we don't have that on the docket. It's not on docket, so we never. It's only G, it's 239, it was settled, and if it's not, then if it's 3-259, then it's 3-259, that was settled. It was settled.
We do that one last. I'll work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have this one more time.
Next, we have the appeal of Campton Wynn versus Assessor LG Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-73153.
Yeah, I will get you a settlement offer on that. I have Curran Road. I did have it. It's settled. We have a settlement offer on that. Okay, well then if you didn't get it, we'll take care of that. But I do have it marked as settled. So we should have a settlement offer for that. Yeah, do you want to let David know? Okay, and then now we're doing Charlemark. Okay. Okay, no problem. With this one, this is a gutted property. We were at 74,000, which was affirmed by the Board of Review. The commission's at 68,000. It's kind of hard to split hairs because it's such poor condition. We're just asking to affirm the Board of Review's value.
We'll hear from the LTC appraiser, Mark.
Yes, sir. Mark Gillespie. I appraised the property, subject property at 4680 Charlemark and determined the market value to be 68,000. Let's see, the land value was uncontested at 13,900 and improvement value 54,100.
Sorry, questions from the commission? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move that we move with the parish assessor's offer with the land at 13,900 and improvements at 60,100 for a grand total of 74,000.
We have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Next, we have the appeal of Irina Filatova versus Assessor LG Williams and the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-73232.
Russell?
This property is a condominium in Esplanade. We initially valued the property at 162,700. The commission came in at 146,500. We have an appraisal that came in at the 146. So we're okay with the tax commission's appraisal value.
Any questions from the commission? Hear none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I have a motion to accept the LTC appraisal valuation of 146,500, which is 23,000 land, improvements of 123,500, a total of $146,500.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Next, we have the appeal of Malcolm K. Brady versus Assessor L.G. Williams in the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-74077.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, so this property on St. Thomas, we initially valued it at 466,300. The commission appraisal came in at 435. We're at 435. We're okay with the commission's appraisal.
Okay, any questions from the commission? Hear none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to settle with the LTC value of 435,000. That's 130,200 for the land, 304,800 for the improvement.
Okay, we have a motion. Any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Next, we have appeal of Diane R. London versus Assessor L.G. Williams in the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-74078.
Mr. Alvarez?
Yes, this is a multifamily property on Harmony Street. We were at 569,700. It was affirmed by the Board of Review. There are some condition issues on this property. Our fee simple appraisal came in at 548,000. And if I recall correctly, we're calling the property in average condition. We think it is a little, we're basically, there's some wiggle room as far as the valuation. We're okay with the tax commission's appraisal value due to the condition that was documented in their appraisal.
Okay, so you're okay at the 480?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions from the commission? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I call for a motion to accept the $480,000 total value, which is land $100,800, improvements $379,200, total of $480,000.
We have a motion. Any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Next, we have the appeal of Timothy P. Springer versus Assessor L.G. Williams in the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-76059.
Russell?
Yes, sir. So this property here, we were initially valued the property at $657,000, which was affirmed by the Board of Review. The tax commission appraisal is $642,000, which is a 2% difference from our valuation. Our fee simple appraisal actually came out significantly higher at $740, so we're asking the commission to affirm the Board of Review's value at the $657.
Okay, we'll hear from the LTC appraiser, Luke.
Hey, Luke.
Luke, you with us?
Hey, Luke, can you hear us?
Hey, I'm not Luke clearly. He just texted me saying he just got booted from the call, so he's trying to get back online.
Audubon Street. Sorry, commissioners, I don't know what happened to my Zoom meeting, but I appreciate y'all bearing with me. I did a fee simple appraisal on 1929 Audubon Street. I did an interior and exterior inspection of the subject property. The land value was undisputed, so there was no need for a land sales analysis. I utilized the comparable sales approach. All three sales were within 0.3 miles. After adjustments, the value range indicates 535,600 to 660,200. I adopted a value of 642,000, 165,000 being undisputed land value and improvement value of 477,000.
Thank you, Luke. Questions from the commission? Right. Okay. Hearing no questions, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to accept the LTC appraised value of 642,000. That's 165,000 for the land and 477,000 for the improvement.
We have a motion. Any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Next, we have the appeal of Michael L. Maristany versus Assessor L.G. Williams in the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-76163.
Russell?
Good morning. This property was initially valued at $1,276,300, which was affirmed by the Board of Review. The tax mission appraisal is $70,000 difference at 1.2 million even on a $1.2 million property. We did a fee simple appraisal that came in at $1,320,200. However, we're not asking the commission to raise the taxpayer. We would ask to affirm the Board of Use valuation, which is in line with the tax mission's appraisal.
You can hold out for 76,300. We'll hear from Luke again.
Good morning, Luke Brewer with the Louisiana Tax Commission. I did a fee simple appraisal on 7107 St. Charles Avenue, or I did an exterior only, excuse me, not an interior inspection on this one. The land value was contested, so I did a land sales analysis. The land range from the three comparable sales, which are all within 0.7 miles, are between 5147 square foot to 10610 square foot. I adopted $60 a square foot, which indicates the site value of $430,000. The comparable sales analysis, all three sales within 0.2 miles. After adjustment, the value range indicates a range between 1,123,590 to 1,373,400. I adopted a value of 1,200,000. 432,000 of which being the land and the improvements at 768,000.
Questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair, I move to accept the assessor's requested value of $1,276,300 total. It's $432,000 for land, $844,300 for improvements. That's
Okay,
supported by a common comp, which is Broadway, with the average of assessor and LTC being right at 1.25 million, so it's within that range.
Okay, thank you, Greg. We have a motion. Any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
Okay, our last appeal of the day is the appeal of Mary Dew versus Assessor L.G. Williams in the Orleans Parish Board of Review, docket number 23221-76242.
Russell?
All right. So this property was originally valued at $54,000. It's was affirmed by the Board of Review. We're asking the commission to affirm that value as the appraisal is the exact value.
This may be the first time all three have ever matched, but I can recall. So, any questions from the commission? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chair, call for a motion to accept the 54,000 for the board review, which is total of 54,000 land. There's no improvement, total of 54,000.
We have a motion. Any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, motion is adopted.
And if it please the commission, the Curran Road property, I forwarded the email to Tanisha just now with the settlement from the taxpayer, and she'll forward it to Chandrika. So it was settled. My apologies. I should have sent that earlier.
Everybody gets one, Russell. We'll let that one go. Okay. Is there any other business? Any other business to come before the commission? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chair, call for motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Any discussion on the motion? Any objection? Hearing none, we are